Hello, welcome to the Analyst at the Ashes with me, Simon Hughes.
And I'm Simon Mann.
It's Christmas for bowlers. It's the 21st of November and we've seen 19 wickets falling on the first day on a bouncy pitch, but batsmen who I felt lacked total application. And so Christmas present of lots of wickets to the bowlers today. And it's left the state of play, which of course is covered on TNT Sports in the UK. You can watch TNT if you go to EE or Sky or Virgin Media. You must have a subscription. It's also available on Discovery Plus, and of course you must be over 18 as well. TNT Sports will be showing the highlights. Are they really the lowlights in a way, certainly as a batter point of view, because it really was lack of application for a lot of batters. Now, we're happy to say that this podcast is supported by Betfair, and the Betfair odds just indicate how the play fluctuated. At the start of play, when England won the toss and batted first, Australia were 56% chance of winning and England 38, which I thought sounded fair. England had won the toss, but Australia, you know, the home side, difficult to beat. England haven't won here for 15 test matches, so it seemed a fair approach. But then when England were bowled out for 172, the Australian odds went up, 75% chance of winning and England just 24%. So England had sort of almost sacrificed their advantage. Then they took Australia, 9 wickets for Australia, and now it's switched round. So it's now only 36% Australia, 63% England. What a day.
Well, it's been an extraordinary day. You've panned the batters, but not easy batting on that surface against, especially against that England attack. I thought England were magnificent with the ball. They really steamed in. They bowled, with great collective will and energy and pace and largely discipline. They probably didn't get everything right. You don't as a bowling attack, but that was as relentless as an English pace attack as I've seen in Australia in the times that I've been coming here. Even 2010 and 11, there was that extra venom in that attack today. So, fantastic bowling from England. And they've sort of kind of set down a marker, haven't they, in the series, albeit on a surface that, does help them, does help that 5-man pace attack.
Yeah, there is a history to this, isn't there? There have been a few times when England have won a series here in Australia, and mostly it's been due to application of serious pace. Even if you go back to 1932-3, the famous bodyline series, Harold Larwood, who really attacked the Bradman and the other Australians with short pitch bowling. Then in 1954, it was Frank Tyson. We've talked about that, the book that Richard Whitehead had written about that series, about Frank Tyson, Typhoon Tyson. 71, it was John Snow. And then latterly, I suppose, 2010-11, Strauss's team, Chris Tremlett was a very nasty bowler to face because he got lots of bounce. Not necessarily express pace.
It was a more disciplined sort of.
It was more
attack,
controlled attack, but Tremlett added that sort of X factor. And now we have, in this match, we have 2 or 3, even 3 90-mile-an-hour bowlers. And there is a stat, quite an interesting stat, that the Australian top order averaged less than 31 against bowling of 90 mile an hour plus. 145 kilometres, which is 90 miles an hour, they averaged less than 33, I think it is. And Steve Smith averaged only 27 against bowling at that pace. So it does indicate that England had a plan, and this was something Stokes talked about before the series and before the test match. Have a plan and stick to it, and they did.
Yeah. There has been some comment about England playing a 5-man pace attack. And the various comments. One is you don't need 5. The other one is it makes Test cricket a bit dull if you've got 5. Well, that second point, I would say you do what you need to do. So, the over 8 was slow. You could say it's kind of monochrome cricket, but you do what you need to do to try to win. That's what England come here to try to do. The other thing about the 5-man attack, and I've often thought this, that if you've got the bowlers, and sometimes the situation is there, if you've got 5 pace bowlers, play them. They're the ones that are going to get you the wickets. And actually, it showed today. There was a stage when England got through their first 4. They hadn't bowled Stokes. Stokes comes on and he keeps the pressure on, takes 5 wickets. Absolute vindication, total vindication of playing 5 pace bowlers. I'm okay. It is a bit monochrome, and you think about the 1980s. Well, that was like facing the West Indies, and you'd have come up against some of those bowlers as a tail ender. Absolute vindication. And if you've got it, go with it. England said they were going to hit Australia with pace. They did, and lo and behold, who would have thought it? It's worked today.
Yeah, if only if only, I mean, it's almost a good day for England, I would say, a lead of 49, 1 wicket to take. But if only they'd applied themselves slightly better with the bat. Because being bowled at 172 when you've won the toss on a lovely day, the pitch, okay, had a bit of extra bounce. It was a sort of what I'd call a tennis ball bounce. It was a spongy sort of bounce. It wasn't going at your throat from just short of a length, which sometimes you have got in Perth in the past. But here it was more spongy sort of bounce. So the batters just not seem to prepare to apply themselves. I mean, look at Zach Crawley's dismissal, for instance, the first over. You know, we've talked so much, haven't we, about...
Did that dismissal surprise you, though?
Well, it didn't surprise me, but I thought that it would be a bit less tame. You know, I mean, so we were all geared up for the first ball of the series, weren't we? Because so often the first ball of the series sets the tone. Either it's a boundary or a wicket, basically. And here, it was nothing, actually. It was just a block by Crawley. And you thought, OK, so England are going to play this was a sort of nuanced, you know, a slightly more smart approach. And then on the sixth ball, he goes for a booming drive. Wasn't anywhere near a half volley, edge straight to slip. I mean, what a terrible start. I wonder how he felt walking off. He looked like it was sort of numb to the experience. It was quite sad to see, actually. And then suddenly England are sort of, you know, in the mire. 3 wickets fall in the first 10 overs. Joe Root got a good ball, I thought. It was interesting, wasn't it? Mitchell Starc is famous for his big hooping in swings to the right hand. He didn't swing any. He actually used the cross seam delivery across the right-handers, and they were playing for swing which wasn't there. So he was clever, but England were a bit inept, I thought, you know, overall.
Just explain in a bit more detail about the cross-seam delivery, what that does and what you're trying to do with it.
Well, I mean, the fast bowler, I didn't bring my ball today, annoyingly, but the fast bowler like Stark is holding the ball seam up, trying to swing it in like that. And then he's occasionally bowling one that goes across, which doesn't swing. But what he's doing now is he's got this sort of cross-seam delivery where the ball is slightly canted like that. And instead of it swinging, the seam is the rudder and will help it swing. If you tilt the seam too much over the top of itself, then it will go straight. And Stark's angle from left arm over the wicket, angling across like that, gets batters playing for the swing coming in, which is not there, and they edge it. And I thought it was a bit naive, really. I mean, it's good bowling by Stark, and of course he's now odds on, you know, the leading wicket to 7 wickets. That must be the easiest 7 wickets he's ever taken.
Well, I was going to say to you, did he bowl 7 for 52
no,
today?
He didn't. I mean, it's amazing. Bowling does go like that, doesn't it? Sometimes, I mean, I'm sure a lot of club players or even county players listening to this or watching this will remember the times when they bowled so well and got 2 for 100 or 2 for 80, and another time you don't bowl actually that well. I bowled your team out, Gloucestershire, once, 6 for 30, and I don't think I bowled that well at all. And then other times I probably bowled really well. I remember bowling against Pakistan and it swung both ways. I was beautifully beating the bat, 1 for 90. You know, the figures don't always tell the story, but I think Stark today was clever early on, but some of the wickets, you know, some of the dismissals were pretty tame. And, you know, we'll talk about that. We'll get into the Betfair exchange in a minute, but I thought England, you know, succumbed pretty tamely at the end there.
So could you say that Stokes' fifer was a bit like that as well?
I think it was. Yeah, you know, we've seen some video, haven't we, of his 6-for in the warm-up match at Lilac Hill, and they were all short of a length, sort of help down to fine leg like that, help yourself to an easy catch at a deep square leg. So, I mean, that was an easy 6-for, and today, I mean, did bowl well. And the one wicket I really liked was Cameron Green, who'd been playing well, tall, upright sort of batsman who drives nicely down the ground. And Stokes, I think, got a message from David Saker, the bowling coach, who's of course Australian, who just said, try a little bit wider, draw him out of that sort of nice zone straight down the ground. And he drove at one that was a bit wider, swung away, caught the edge. I mean, it was a lovely day to bowl because the ball on this lovely lush outfield keeps its shine. The seam on the Kookaburra seems a bit prouder, so that helps the movement. There was lovely carry. I mean, the beautiful thing about bowling in Australia is the ball carries to slip when you edge it. And so many of those edges today carried. But still, I mean, if we get to the Betfair exchange today, our sort of discussion about a dubious issue or an issue we don't necessarily agree about, I just thought England, 5 wickets fell, the last 5 wickets for 12 runs. I thought it was poor. You know, they were set all the fielders back, they had everybody on the boundary. It was almost like, we are going to bowl short at you, don't play the hook or you'll get out. And England, what did they do? They played the hook and they got caught. I mean, it was brainless.
Well, I'm not going to defend it, but I would say there were some mitigating circumstances. And like, for example, Bryden Cast had just been hitting the helmet, hitting the helmet grill, and that shakes a batter up, doesn't it? So next time he gets short when he takes it on, and it's an absolutely magnificent catch by Labuschagne. And look, on English grounds,
It's telegraphed though.
Well, what's it like as a batter though when you've just been hit?
Well, no,
what do you do?
No, it isn't nice.
Right, I'm going to take it. I'm not going to just stand here as a sitting duck.
Look, I of course it's not nice being hit. I was actually hit by Imran Khan, a bouncer, and I sat down on my arse and like in the ground and sort of dusted myself off. And then I stood up and he hit me again. Next ball, it's not nice, but the helmet is pretty strong now, and players are not. It makes that horrible rattling sound when it hits you. It's pretty sort of scary, but no pain. It's actually worse, I think, being hit on the finger or something, because that pain is absolutely agonising. Whereas actually hit on the helmet, it sort of feels a little bit. It makes you a little bit shaky for a bit, but it doesn't actually hurt. So, and he's going to do it next ball. Well, just duck out of the way. Yeah. Or weave or something. And the great thing about this pitch is it does bounce. So if it's short, you can actually sort of sway or duck or weave or whatever. Don't just take it on every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said in the past, Bryden Cast is one of those cricketers who actually he's kind of like a better batter than his figures have shown. That he's got some ability, and you had Jamie Smith at the other end as well. So make more of that situation. I'm not saying that it was a perfect acceptable shot or anything like that. But I can understand if a batter's hit that you do kind of think, take it on next ball, because your adrenaline's going. And then Jamie Smith was caught in a very similar area, which we've seen a few times in Test cricket already. Caught at deep square leg and that sort of area. The only thing I'd say there is that England were 8 down. You had Archer and Wood at the other end. Do you take it on, try to score as many as you can? I think what's clear is on these big grounds that the pull shot is, and we thought about it beforehand, didn't we? That it's a danger shot.
It's futile.
Yeah, it is. Well, it does look like
unless it's going with the wind. Now we've got quite strong breeze going here now because it's sort of late in the evening. If you're hitting with the wind, maybe you get away with it. But a couple of them were hitting into the wind. I mean, Cast was one. Just lobbed it. It was a good catch, but it's hitting that boundary, that deep square leg boundary, takes a hit of about 85 metres. That's a long way. You've got to really nail it. And look, it's unfair to blame the bowlers, the tail enders, really, but they could have applied themselves a bit better. The whole England team could have applied. I thought, apart from Root, who got a good ball across him like that, which Stark but delivered, and actually Stokes was bowled by a good piece of bowling with several balls sort of hung outside off stump to the left hand and then one that Stark angled back. I mean, you shouldn't get bowled if you're a top order.
Was it a bit of a loose drive?
It was a bit of a loose drive. He was like driving a ball which wasn't full enough. So he shouldn't have left his stumps exposed like that so early in his innings. Apart from those two, most of England's wickets were the batsman's fault. Now, TNT have a couple of English commentators commentating on the match, of course, and one of them is Stephen Finn. And just before we go to the break, I thought I'd ask Finney whether he thought England's batting and actually Australia's performance today was more bad batting or good bowling.
I would say good bowling today, but I think the standard of the bowling, Stark up front was excellent. I thought he used his wobble seam and seam up deliveries really intelligently in order to take the wickets. And then the England seam bowling, I think it's been relentless. From what I can remember, I think it's been the most relentless seam attacks that I've seen, especially overseas, cumulatively, that have built the pressure, that have led them to be in the position that they are and have kept them in the game. So the pitch has helped, and there are a few wickets in there that I think the batters might look back upon and not be that happy with, but fundamentally, I'd say the standard of bowling today has been excellent.
So, of course, we've only had 71 overs play, I think it is today, haven't we? So, the players ended at, 20 to 6 or something. So we had the full day's play, but only 71 overs because of the number of wickets that fell, 19 wickets.
And
interesting.
And the fact that it's just pace bowlers throughout the day as well.
Yes, that's right. So a couple of overs of spin, but not much.
Not much, no. And we had DRS, and we had players being cracked on the helmet a few times as
there
well.
was a few concussion examinations, weren't there? But it's interesting, it's uncanny how similar it was to the Test match here last year. And this is maybe a pointer to what is going to happen, because India played here. They were bowled out for 150, so a little bit less than England. They then bowled Australia out for 104. Bumrah took 5, Siraj a couple. It was the seamers that did the damage. Again, Australia showing fallibility against good pace bowling. And then in their second innings, India scored 487 and declared, in fact. And I think Kohli got 100, Jaiswal got 100. So they built a position of considerable strength, bowled Australia out again for 230 odd and won the test match. And all 5 test matches here have been won by the team batting first. So that is a sort of good indicator. England have a lead of 49 with 1 wicket to take. If they can get that wicket quickly, which they probably will, as you know, Brendan Doggetts comes in after Scott Bolland, and Scott Bolland looks pretty much like a rabbit. So he must be a rabbit as well. So
he averages 8 in first-class cricket,
yeah.
Brendan Doggett. So that there is a hope that they.
So if England get a lead of say 40,
yeah.
and then if they can bat properly and get 300 in front, 350 in front, you'd think they should be able to do it.
How will they play in that second innings?
What did you think of Harry Brook's innings, by the way? I mean, he got 50. He played some incredible shots, but even to his second ball, coming in with England 3 down, he's run up the wicket and gone slightly backing away to try and hit Stark off his length. And he did that a few times, and sometimes he missed and sometimes he came off. I mean, it was a sort of extraordinarily curate's egg of an innings where he played some extraordinary shots and some terrible shots, actually. No, you've given up. You've given up.
I don't know.
Kind of describing it.
Well, it's the way he plays, isn't it? And you know he's going to play like that. And he's one of those players you feel he's so good, he's so talented that you almost, a bit like Joe Root, with his ramp shot, that you almost don't need to play some of those shots, but he does put the bowlers off. I mean,
yeah, the
same ball he blocked as he hit for 6, for example. Same length ball, so it does disrupt the bowlers. Perhaps they felt that this pitch, there was enough bounce in it for the quicker bowlers. You need to get on with it, but then they do like to get on with it anyway. I think with Brook, he's going to infuriate England supporters, but he's also going to delight them. And generally speaking, he's delighted them in his career far more than he's infuriated them. I mean, obviously there was that dismissal against India at the Oval, which cost them a test match. But having said that, his innings gave England a chance of winning. And you could also say today that even though he played this sort of bizarre innings, that innings might give them a chance of winning as well. 1,570, they might get a lead of 40. Okay, it's slim innings, so not absolutely decisive. I mean, sometime in the series you might get in and absolutely ruin Australia's bowling attacks, and that's what you hope that then that's going to go on and win a test match. But at the same time, it's not the conventional way of playing. But then this is not a conventional England team.
No, Ricky Ponting actually said similar to you. He doesn't need to play those shots where he backs away and shows the whole of his stumps to the bowler. And I know it looks incredible, and it may have a plan behind the madness of, I'm going to try and get on top of the bowlers and stop them bowling that sort of length that's going to hit the top of off stump. He's a disruptor, isn't he? But once you've done the disruption, you can actually just play normally. Yeah. And I don't think he knows when to stop.
But he wasn't out to that shot today.
Well, he was out to sort of a little bit of a pull.
He kind of pulled out of a pull shot, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the ball just flicked his glove. It was one of the bizarre.
It was.
You know how you see things in cricket that you haven't seen before. There wasn't much of an appeal. So, Brook stayed there. Australia were, hold on, there's something here. There was a gradual groundswell of opinion. There might be something here. And they reviewed it. And as soon as they reviewed it, Brook walked off because he knew the technology would condemn him. I don't think I've seen that happen before. I mean, normally they wait, don't they, for just in case that for some reason or other the technology has not picked up the glove. But he knew, he was desperately hoping they wouldn't review it. So, he wasn't out to an extravagant shot. It was kind of like pulling out the pull shot. It flicked the glove. And a number of wickets that went to short balls in the England innings. I didn't actually feel there was kind of like a real pattern to England's dismissals in a way. It was kind of a bit random. It's one of those days, and you get recovery, and then a wicket would fall out. I mean, the Pope dismissal, for example, he was batting well.
He was playing well.
Really good.
Yeah.
He came in form as well, because he got the runs in the warm-up game in both innings. He looked good. It was kind of actually surprising he got out. Cameron Green with almost a really full-length ball. It was just clipping the leg stump. Sometimes you get away with them, don't you? The umpire gives it not out. The opposition review it, and it's not out because it's umpire's call. He didn't get away with it. So kind of that sort of dismissal, for example. The Brook dismissal was a little bit.
It was an interesting contrast in innings actually, wasn't it? Because England were positive and got out, mostly playing shots. Australia were very passive actually. I mean, very slow partnership between Labuschagne and Smith, trying to sort of see off that hardness of the ball, get to the 25 overs. They didn't manage it. They got out.
Do you think that was the right tactic, or do you think they were forced into it by the quality of England's bowling, or were they just hanging on like someone clinging onto the side of a cliff?
Smith was really struggling, wasn't he? I mean, he was hit a few times and he looked terrible. He was playing big swishes when the ball was pitched up. He didn't look like a man who averages 56, who's a great of the game, actually. He did look fallible. I suppose players don't get these sort of surfaces, this bouncy sort of surface too often.
All this sort of attack against them as
yeah,
well.
Good point.
My point about, I mean, this was like the perfect storm for England.
Yeah.
The 5 pace bowlers on a bouncy pitch against a slightly iffy Australian batting lineup. Certainly top order is disrupted today by the fact that Usman Khawaja couldn't come out and open. Mind you, he was cleaned up pretty quickly by a bit of a snorter, wasn't he? From Bryden Cast. And I thought it was a collectively a really sort of a real marker performance from England's bowling attack. Of course, when they go around Australia, 2 things: can they keep them on the field?
Well, if they only have to bowl a few overs, yes, absolutely.
And B, will they get this sort of pitch elsewhere? They might have the Gabba, it's got a bit of carry in it, hasn't it? Normally the Gabba, but the other 3 Test matches, perhaps not. Will Australia make the pitches spin?
Yeah, well, that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? So, listen, just to finish, what about the atmosphere today? 48, I know it's 51,000 people in the end, which is a record for any ground at Perth, the attendance. And actually, it seemed almost half English, didn't it? I mean, there was a huge section of the Barmy Army that were cheering when there was an English wicket, that they'd taken a wicket. And obviously, a lot of Australians. But I came in actually with a couple, a man and his son. And the man is English and his son is basically Australian because he's lived over here. So, of course, one of them, the dad said, when I asked him what the result of the series would be, he said 4-0 England, and the son said 4-1 Australia, inevitably. But I thought it was a great atmosphere. It had that kind of almost amphitheatrical sort of feeling. Is that a word? It had that sort of feeling.
If it's not, you've just made it. We know what you mean. Yeah.
It had a sort of,
it was playing cricket
gladiatorial almost.
Yeah, definitely gladiatorial. And also as well the build-up today. You talk about Zach Crawley. I would, out in the first over, I wouldn't have liked to have been part of that build-up as an opener. I mean, most Test matches, you know you're batting, you go and get your pads on. There might be some anthems, but you just go out and bat. But there was a kind of like long build-up. And the noise in the stadium, I just have to wait. That nervous.
And actually, there was a bit of extra sort of delay, wasn't there, after the anthems, because they had these rock guitarists on the roof playing. It would look like sort of Axl Rose and his partner playing real heavy rock as the countdown to the first ball. Actually, I thought that was fantastic. Did you like that? No, not really. Perhaps you couldn't hear it because you're deaf, aren't you?
What? Look, what we should just do before we go. You mentioned it was an incredible atmosphere. There was a tremendous support for both sides, definitely, and it was hard to hear yourself think at times during the day. So goodness knows what it was like for the players out there. What about the state of the game? I mean, there's a temptation to think that England have sort of got control of the game and could go on to win it. Should go on to win it. There's still a lot of cricket left in this match. I mean, England were to fall in a heap in their second innings. And only set Australia 200 to win or 210 to win, and Australia grit it out this time, play with a bit more purpose, and perhaps have the same amount of luck. I actually thought they had quite a lot of luck. I thought they could have been dropped for about 70 or 80 today. That spell, mesmerising spell, when they finally lost 4 wickets for 30. I thought they were lucky to be 54. I thought they could easily have been 50 for 7 or something like that.
Archer was fantastic, wasn't he? Particularly, Jofra Archer, fantastic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But okay, what about the state of the game finally?
Yeah. Well, history says the team batting first wins the game. Tomorrow, I think the batting conditions will be similar to today, but the players are a bit wiser. I think England's
bowlers need to adapt their approach.
They need to adapt their approach a bit. I think England's bowlers are definitely more potent than Australia's. You've got Stark, but I'm actually Boland went for 62 from his 10 overs and didn't look threatening, and he's never played here before. He didn't look as if he knew quite where to bowl. Brendan Doggett, a debutant, bowled quite well, but I don't think they have quite the same hostility as the England five-pronged attack. Stokes today weighing in with his 5 wickets again. Wood looked pretty good. Cast bowled well. Atkinson bowled well, didn't he, with the new ball?
No reward,
So,
but
so
he
as
bowled
long
well.
as England can get 300 second innings, they'll win, in my view. And Betfair says England at the moment 63%. So get on, get in, stay in for a bit, bat until the 50th or 60th over. It's a long game, this, England. Why is it they can only bat for 34 overs, whatever kind of format they play?
It wasn't even that. It was 32.5 overs. So get in, score runs, don't get out. That's the message from yours tonight, is it?
Absolutely. And you can watch the highlights on TNT Sports, of course. And tomorrow's play starts at the same time as today's, 2:20 in the morning, I'm afraid, in England, 10:20 local time in Perth. We're excited, but we hope England can just show a bit more application in the second innings.
Well, the start, to me, is important. Those two openers, Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett, if England can get onto some sort of a start and chew up the first 10, 12 overs, 15 overs or whatever, and then it does become easier. I saw that a little bit with the Head-Green partnership. There was the venom in the England attack just went down a little bit, and they got out. Head was quite a tame dismissal, wasn't it? A short ball which kind of spooned to mid-on. I think he was furious with himself. He could barely believe what he'd done. So okay, they're going to play positively. So there's no point, saying they're not. But just with a bit cannier.
Maybe, final thought, maybe the adrenaline of the first day of the Ashes has sort of just given everyone a bit of a heightened anticipation, and, it's just put them on speed a bit. Maybe tomorrow they'll be a bit calmer.
Yeah, I agree. It did feel like an adrenaline-fueled day today, and everyone might be a bit calmer tomorrow. Mind you, there's going to be 50, 60,000 people in here again. It's going to be like an ampy whatever he said just now.
Amphitheatrical.
So look, I can't wait. We've got to wait another 14 hours for it. Sensational day today. Flawed, yes, but dramatic and well worth turning up for, I think it's fair to say. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. Goodbye for now. I'll speak to you tomorrow.